let us roll to our next game. We're staying out west in the Pac-12. Utah is traveling to Seattle, Washington. Big time game for the Utes. They've kind of found a quarterback in Mr. Barnes there, but he's going up against, our Heisman pick right now in Michael Penix Jr. At time of record, this game is a 9.5-point favorite for Washington, and over-under is set at 53.5 right now. What do you got for Washington, Utah, buddy?
I think first off, can Kyle Whittingham's Utes and his defense pull off another shocking miracle? Everyone comes in, we always doubt them, especially last year, the two games, USC, and all the times they play them, and they don't have a chance. And somehow they just rally, and the defense shows up, they get gritty, and they just figure it out. They get guys, players are banged up, and second, third stringers just show up, and they run the offense or run the defense, and they get it done. But at some point, when do those injuries, when does that lack of experience catch up with you? Um, how much more does that Utah team have left in the tank to keep playing at a high level? Because right now it's a gauntlet out there in the Pac-12, and they're getting everybody's best shot. They're two-time defending Pac-12 champions, then a back-to-back Rose Bowls, but you're starting to see some of that wear and tear when they beat USC, but going to Oregon and getting thumped. Um, it's how much juice these guys have left. You're seeing Barnes. He's been slowly getting better as the years gone on, as taking over for Rising. And knowing that Cam is probably coming back next year as getting another red shirt, you have your last couple of games to empty the tank yourself and really show. Because I got a feeling if you do okay and Rising's coming back, do you want to go in the transfer portal or do you want to be the backup and continue to develop? But you have a chance right here to showcase yourself and to come out a legend at Utah. Like if you go in here and you beat Washington, an undefeated team, on the road in a very hostile environment up there in Seattle, that you won't buy a drink, for yourself at all, the entire state of Utah, and probably at least in, Salt Lake City. You have a chance, but you have to trust Kyle Whittingham, trust the coaching staff, but everyone's going to play also assignment football. Do what you do. Whittingham is very similar to Bill Belichick. During Bill Belichick's great run, right now this season the Patriots stink, but plugging and playing guys, playing within a system, understanding the responsibilities, and all 11 working as one. And that's how Utah does it. They communicate, they execute, they're physical, they do not get beat at the line of scrimmage. Washington's a little different. Their defense has not been as dominant or as stout as we all thought it was going to be coming into the year. They've definitely left us wanting more from that side of the football. And then offensively, they are juggernaut. They have, depth at receivers ridiculous. We saw what Dylan Johnson did, ran all over USC, and then Michael Penix Jr. is chucking the ball left and right all over the West Coast. If I'm Kyle Whittingham, I'm going to treat this Washington offense like USC's team last year. You're going to see a great quarterback in the pocket who isn't exactly the most mobile, but it can scoot right now if he has to. Running game is going to be a complementary aspect, but the passing game is 4 to 5 threats out there at all times. And can you take advantage of that offensive line and get your pass rush to take them out? That's where you're going to have to win it. Put a nice little bubble back there. Maybe run 6 defensive backs out there. Keep a dime look. Get guys all over the field and keep everything in front of you and let the pass rush get home. Keep everything in front of you so they don't get the deep balls, they don't get the quick strikes, and force him into containment. If you let them start hitting quick hitters or quick passes or bubble screens and you're not tackling, you're going to be in trouble. You've got to keep your eyes on, in your zone, in your responsibility. Don't get caught looking in the backfield. If you get caught, you're going to see a guy in, purple scooting right by you for a touchdown. If they can play smart, organized, disciplined football, they can make this a football game and slow it down and slug it out. This is going to be the best defense that Washington's going to see all season. Can they overcome? Because if they get in the playoff, they're going to be playing good defenses. And that's the one thing. Can this team actually face a good defense and shut them down? And can their defense show up in a game where they should be dominant and dominate? If Utah's offense isn't dominating, if Washington struggles with them, that really has me worried about their playoff potential. If you are struggling versus a mediocre offense and your defense is not getting off the field, and can your offense actually score against a legit defense? Then the committee will start seeing these parallels and really start evaluating that if they are watching the games. I think that's what we're going to come in and see here in this point. I'm really, really excited about this ball game. Can Utah get one more, feather in their cap in the legacy? Is Washington, is the tank kind of getting dry here? Are they getting a little exhausted as the season's gone on? We'll sort of figure this one out. At the end, though, I don't trust Utah's offense to make the ball game. In their two losses this season, they're averaging 6.5 points a game, but in their wins, they're averaging 30. So if they're losing, it means the offense is getting absolutely shut down, and there's no hope. And if they're winning, they're blowing people out, or at least getting a shootout like they did versus USC. I just don't think that they have enough firepower to keep up with Washington in this case. And I think the Huskies survive in advance one more week and keep the dream season going up there in Seattle. But Utah will give a fight. It's right now Huskies by 9. I think the Huskies win by. I think 9 is too small, but I think the Huskies win by a touchdown. So actually, give me Utah and the points. Huskies win. It's gonna be a gritty ball game in Seattle. It's something worth tuning in, but it's gonna give me more doubts about Washington at the end of the game than positive thoughts when it comes to their playoff positioning.
See, I'm the opposite on that, Fresh. I think if they get, I have that much respect for the Utah defense. I feel like if Washington can beat a defense to the ability of Utah, that it starts for us to really start going. The Pac 12 is the toughest conference in the nation right now. They're beating everybody up. It's time to give a little more respect to Washington. I see this very similar to the Oregon State game. I think it's close. I think it's a little more low scoring than a lot of people expected. Oregon State versus Utah earlier this season, that was 21-7 in a final game. You said it last week, is Dylan Johnson. He was a key factor for you for against USC. He ran all up and down the Trojans. He had a great game from him. I think that you're starting to see a coming of age party for him. He had 256 yards and 4 touchdowns. Again, that's up against the USC defense. Defense is a whole heck of a lot better. But that kid's got the confidence going on right now. And he's a name that you have to account for if you're the Utah defense. I think Utah is going to have to make like a choice. Am I going to bring a safety up in the box because this kid's getting going and we want to make sure that he's not the one to beat us. We want to put the ball in Penix's hands. Or do they, hey, we're going to put our cornerbacks on the island against these Washington receivers and say, good luck to you. I don't know which, that's why Kyle Whittingham gets paid the money he gets paid. It's the reason he's been there as long as he has. Those are the type of decisions that I know that whatever decision I would make would be the wrong one, because I think that Utah's defense is going to keep this game close. I would take Utah on the points as well. I just don't think, as nice as Bryson Barnes has been so far, he's still thrown 5 interceptions. He's still completing less than 60% of his passes. He needs to show me a little bit more. I don't have a player that I could sit there and say, hey, Washington, like, you got to be worried about this guy because he's going to take over this game. It could happen. It could. But I just see, like, this is a different team when Utah goes out on the road. Like, it's a different team. Yes, their defense travels and plays very well, but their offense doesn't. You take a look at what, outside of the USC game, but in the 2 other times they've gone on the road, Oregon State, they scored 7 points, and Baylor, they won 20-13. So realistically, in my mind, are you willing to bet that Washington won't put up at least 21 to 24 points? I'm not. I think Washington's offense is good enough to easily get to that number. Are they going to get to 35, 40? No. But I think they're enough to make it very, very difficult for Utah to win this football game.
I mean, it's going to be a battle. I just really want to see where Washington's truly settle at, and if they can actually show promise. Because I think there's definitely some deficiencies in the roster right now from Utah, unless they play it within that scheme. But if the Huskies actually can withstand a tough opponent, it's really going to show me if they are playoff worthy. Because if they have to play an Ohio State, a Michigan, a Georgia, an Alabama, Texas, a Florida State in the playoff, where are they going to stand? Are they going to stand a chance? Because last year we saw TCU having a great offense all year long, and when they they pulled off a miracle versus Michigan, and they got thumped when it really mattered.
Right. Well, again, we also knew that we felt whoever's coming out of that game was going to get thumped. But